All right, hopefully 3 little videos that all sort of relate to one another. So I just find it the nerdiest shirt of all time. And I'm wearing a Google shirt right now, so that's how nerdy this shirt must be. Yeah, that's so nerdy. If you understand what the heck that is actually saying. So we're going to look at switch statements. We're going to look at ternary expressions. And then we're going to actually, we might have time to look at bitwise operators in a bit more detail. So what we were talking about last time, if I have an if statement, let's say I have the number 11 coming in here. So if the number 11 is, so what possible things could I have in here? The number 11 comes into this expression. Notice I can have nested if statements. So the number 11, if is the value greater than 10? Yes, it is. Then I will keep going, and I will check, is the value mod 2? So if I take the value 11, mod 2, is it equal to 0? If it's not equal to 0, as in it's an odd number, I will go into this condition right here, and I will return 11 plus 1, 12, divided by 2, 6. So this thing will return the value 6. If I pass in the number 8, what happens? Is the value greater than 10? No, it's not. Return 0. I would dodge all of this here. Why? Because the value does not, I do not go into that if statement. How about the value 12? Is the value greater than 10? Yes, it is. Is it odd? No, it is not. So then I'll go into the else statement and return this. Notice this is another reason why we have our curly braces. We want to be able to, and why we line things up with indentations. This is one if statement. This is the outer if statement. They are nested into one another. And so therefore you'll get different, it's not the same, it's not just one if statement or a set of if statements. They're nested. So it'll look like this if you had your flow chart, right? Something like this where like, are you employed? If you are employed, then are you recent grad? If so, then you get a special rate for your, then you'll get a special rate for your car that you're going to buy. Done. Otherwise, you'll say you must be graduated from college in the past 2 years to qualify. Okay, if you didn't recently graduate. If you're not employed, then you must be employed to qualify, and you don't get the special discount on the car. Notice this is exactly the same. Well, not exactly, because the output statements here are different. It would be the same as if I had a condition that said, if employed equals yes, and recent grad is equal to yes, then display this, you qualify for a special interest rate. But this is one way I could, the curly braces are not necessary here. They're technically equivalent, but come on, really? The curly braces really help me figure out where the heck things start and end. I have a real hard time otherwise, and you might as well. Okay, so I would like you to write a nested if-else condition that tests whether someone is employed or a recent grad in order to get a purchase discount, and they get an extra discount if they're both. So this one is if you are both, you get the special rate. What if you had one where it gives you a rebate if you are a recent grad, a rebate if you are employed, and an extra rebate if you're both? So what would that if, else if set of, nested conditions, what would that look like? So give that a try. Seriously, give it a try. Okay, let's see what we have here. Do I have it? All right. So if employed, notice I want those curly braces because, God, curly brace. All right. If you're employed, then there's a lot of redundancy here. I wouldn't write it this way myself, but we're looking at nested if statements. So if you're employed, then you do another if statement. If you're employed, then if you're a recent grad, then you qualify for the super rate. Otherwise, you qualify for a special rate. Else, you qualify for a special rate. If you are a recent grad, else you get nothing, right? And maybe openly mocked by the computer. Right? This is how, but notice these two special rates, I got repeated code simply because of how this thing was written. So, what if I wanted the number of zombies is less than 19, not equal to 12? So I could have something like this, where if the number of zombies is less than 19, I set the number of zombies equal to 0. Otherwise, I check to see if the number of zombies is equal to 12 or not, and set the values accordingly. That would be another example. But please use proper indentation. It's just really hard to read these without proper indentation. We actually use that indentation to tell us how to parse this thing. We are not reading your code. We're not reading where the curly brace is necessarily. We're not reading, exactly what the words are. We're looking at a shape. It's a visual shape that we're looking at. Okay. So there's the line. There's the line. This is how I know which if statement is which and what they're related to. Just indentation. And so if they have the same indentation, then they are together. So I'm going to take a quick break, and then we're going to look at switch statements.